I can't pretend to be the most eloquent speaker, but this is my last chance to speak to you as an entire group, as the founding class. I certainly cannot let this opportunity pass by. I've talked to you in the past about getting a 212th degree, doing your best, finishing strong, dress code, lunch trash, you name it. But today is different. Today I want to speak with you about taking risk and having the guts to fail. I want to open by sharing some thoughts from Steve Goodyear. I heard this several months ago and I immediately thought of the first class. He said, "Someone quipped that a classified newspaper ad read, 'For sale, parachute, only used once, never opened, small stain.'" I realize that we cannot afford to fail in some endeavors, but I also know that we cannot afford not to fail in most of what we do. Unfortunately, too many of us live by the motto, if at first you don't succeed, don't admit that you tried. Why? We often feel ashamed or embarrassed when we fall flat. In his book, The Courage to Fail, Art Mortell talks about a conversation he had with baseball's Lou Brock. It took place when Brock held the record for stolen bases. He was about 35 years old at the time, and his days as a professional player were winding down. Brock was talking about why he successfully stole more bases than younger, faster players. "When you start out in baseball," Brock said, "you're young, and you have the speed and the reflexes. However, when you try to steal second base and you get thrown out, it's a long walk back to the dugout with 40,000 people, 40,000 fans watching you. But when you reach my age, you come to understand that records are not set by being the quickest, but by the willingness to look bad in the eyes of others." There are other ways to avoid failure in life. Never ask anyone out. There will be no possibility of rejection and embarrassment. Never ask for a promotion. That way you will not risk the humiliation of being turned down. Never go back to school. You cannot fail a class you do not take. Never change careers. You'll never fail at something you never try. Never try anything you've never done before. If success is just about avoiding failure, I don't want it. But if success is about pursuing a passion or finding the guts to risk in order to experience life fully, then I want it. Even if it means a lot of walks back to the dugout while everyone is watching. About 4 years ago, you took a huge risk. You first risked applying and interviewing for the early college and potentially being denied. When you accepted your invitation to the early college, you took another great risk. The risk of going to a school that had not even been created yet. No building, not even a pod at that time. No reputation, no former students to share their experience, no sports, no traditional high school experience, no nothing. As pioneers, you also risked taking college courses beginning in 9th grade. Even with North Carolina as the national leader in school reform and with 71 early colleges across the state, taking college courses as early as 9th grade was and still is a relatively new and intimidating thought. In addition, you risked not graduating in 4 years. This day is bittersweet. Just like at most colleges, students don't all finish neatly at the end of 4 years. We all took a risk in the early college, and with everyone, the entire community, watching our success and our failures. 4 years ago about this time, I stood before you at our first meeting, which was held at Mocksville Public Library, and at that meeting, you were given a simple bookmark like this one. It said, "Welcome to Davie County Early College High School." And I didn't speak to Ken about this in advance. It had a compass on it. clip art of a compass face. You will notice that our official school crest has the compass in the lower right quadrant, just below the phoenix, the mascot that you appropriately selected as our school mascot to represent the school. At that first meeting, the compass represented that we were beginning a new journey together, and we're somewhat changing directions. After all, the Early College Initiative was a new direction in the field of education. And that night I shared two definitions of the compass with you from Webster's Dictionary. The first one was very predictable, a noun, meaning a device for determining directions. We talked about the tools that would be critical in giving us direction as we created a new school, namely collaboration, your input and involvement being critical in establishing the culture and the direction of the school. The second definition was a little more surprising. It was a verb. To bring about or achieve. I assured you that night that you had the support of the faculty and your parents and guardians in the tough road before you. And I encouraged you to begin the journey with an I can, or better yet, with an I will attitude. Students, you have pressed forward, and you have achieved. You have set a record, you have established precedents, and you have proven what can be done. The journey has not been easy. As our firstborn, your path has been especially bumpy at times, as we have worked endlessly, but just barely a step in front of you. We have learned from you, and we have learned from our parenting mistakes the last 4 years. However, your journey is not over. Although some are at a fork in the road today, the journey continues for all of you. You all have more challenges ahead. As some of you graduate today and leave us, I hope you will take the message of the compass with you. I hope that early college has set your journey path in motion with your eyes focused clearly in the direction of your future goals. Some of you, and I would guess most of you, have some anxiety about the future and the challenges before you. Within the school's mission statement, the original staff included our desire for students to have the courage to succeed. But according to others, that really means that you must have the courage to fail. As you step out into the real world, don't forget the resilience of the phoenix rising out of the ashes. And don't forget the risk you've already taken and all the successes you have already experienced. Just as Lou Brock recognized that setting baseball records wasn't about being the youngest or the fastest, being the most successful isn't necessarily about being the smartest or the most privileged. Success isn't about avoiding failure. It is about pursuing a passion or finding the guts to risk in order to experience life fully. On behalf of the entire staff, I wish each of you the very best life has to offer. You will always hold a special place in our hearts and in our memories as the first class, the founding class of Davie County Early College High School.